Welcome back to the Means Report. Once again, my thanks to Chris Steyerwalt for his political insight and expertise. And as I told the folks at News Nation, I know that we're going to lean on Chris a lot in the coming months, especially next year as we get closer to the 2024 election. He really helps us understand all things political, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate the work of Augusta University's Literacy Center. It's part of the College of Education at AU, and they do incredible work in our community. I know that many of you have heard of the Literacy Center. You may not know that they're down at that fancy new building now, the Hub, going on 1 year. It's flown by. Dr. Betsy Van Duzen is the director of the AU Literacy Center. Dr. Van Duzen, thank you so much for being on the Means Report. And again, thanks for what you do for others.
It's great to be here.
I want to talk about this huge back to school event that you all are having.
Sure.
I know it's going to interest a lot of people. It's going to get kids ready to go back. That'll be here before you know it. But first, just an overview of what y'all do at the Literacy Center. Is it primarily teaching people to read?
So our Literacy Center has been around for over 32 years. It was the legacy of the late Dr. Paulette Harris, who ran it, and it was her vision. And we served children, adolescents, and adults in the Augusta area and teach them how to read. So that is our primary focus. We look to work with struggling readers and try to bring them up to a level where they can function and participate in school and beyond.
I know that you mentioned that you kind of handle all ages.
Sure.
Is your typical client an adult?
Our typical client is probably school-aged kids.
Okay.
So we've done a great job over the years of serving school-aged kids from first grade to high school. We have all those age ranges in our service right now. And of course, that handles the children and the adolescents. So we see those students after school. So from 3 to 7, our place comes alive with kids coming for that service. And then we serve adults in a couple of different ways. First of all, we've partnered with Augusta Tech. Augusta Tech does adult education really well. They're known for that. So they actually use us as a site for their classes. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Augusta Tech is in our space offering classes for GED completion and also for just adult literacy in general. So it's great to have that formal adult education service in our space. We also have adult drop-in hours. We found that adults are motivated by their goals and their needs, and not all adult needs are the same. So these drop-in hours allow us to meet with clients, kind of just sort of meet with them, interview them, talk with them, and their needs emerge. Some of them we refer to Augusta Tech.
Sure.
Others, we right now have a group of several groups of people that are interested in digital literacy. So we have adult volunteers that are helping them manage digital literacy, and particularly the literacy involved in making and using that technology to better their life.
You could teach my dad how to text?
Absolutely.
Wow.
We actually, we do. And we were really grateful to be a part of the AT&T Connected Learning Center. And part of one of the programs they give us is modules on helping with email and internet searches. And we had one client that wants to sell things on Facebook Marketplace. So we've been able to sort of help bridge those needs too. So when it comes to adults, we look at it as several different offerings to try to get at the adult needs. And it's so important because they're motivated by their goals.
Why can't kids learn to read at school? Why do they have to go after school to you?
Yeah, so reading is a complicated process. There was a classic piece written in the literacy field that teaching reading is rocket science.
Yeah.
It's more than just putting books in front of kids. It requires a lot of technical things because we have a pretty comprehensive language for kids to learn to unpack. So, not all students learn at the same rate in the same way, and not all students come with the same background knowledge. And so there's a number of variables that could make it difficult for a student to learn just in school.
Okay.
In schools, like we work very closely with the Richmond County schools, and they're already providing great supplemental and interventions for students, and yet we know sometimes, particularly with pandemic learning loss, there are gaps that we can fill.
That's for
So
sure.
we do what's called a supplemental program. We put them in a literacy program, and it's designed to complement what happens in school. Our whole goal is we want them to do well in the center, of course, but we want them to be able to translate that into work in the school and making sure they're at grade level.
Why can't adults read? Is it because they dropped out? Is it because they didn't pay attention? And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. Pay attention to their literacy studies while in school? Kind of walk me through why a client comes in as a grown-up.
There are probably just as many answers to that question as there are individuals who can't read,
Yeah.
or struggle with reading. And I don't mean they can't read, but they haven't read. They're not reading to a level where they can help them. It helps them achieve their goals in life. And so, surprisingly, there's a huge, not surprisingly, but there's a huge emphasis now on dyslexia. And we're finding that adults may have had dyslexia going through school and it was not diagnosed, or it wasn't treated with interventions that we have now that are available to students. So we could have, and I've heard that from some adults. I always struggled in school. I never could break the code. I never knew how to read on my own. I had coping mechanisms, but it wasn't really enough for me to be independent in my reading. So, and then we are just thrilled when adults do come for help or do come for service, because it takes a lot of courage.
It does.
And
it's intimidating.
It is. And it's something that, they feel like they should know. But we really stress that it's about their goals. But reading, of course, is what we get at. But what are your goals? Is it employment? Is it being able to help with your child at home? Do you have hobbies that you want to be able to learn better? And when you approach it from that sort of, what are your goals? Then we say, okay, here are some literacy things that can help us get there.
Take me behind the scenes, and I know we could spend the rest of our interview on this, and I don't want to do that, but I do want to help alleviate some of the apprehension that grown-ups might feel who can't read. Take me through the first part of a lesson, perhaps. Is it just saying, okay, this letter is the letter T. Every time you see it, you know that it most likely has the T sound, and then you just build?
It's a great question. So we use some adult literacy materials that are, the term we use is high interest, lower readability, meaning they look like adult materials. So we're not teaching them with materials for children.
Okay.
So when they look at it, like some of the activities are, let's say you're doing a writing activity, let's write a job application. So you're doing things that are related to what they would be doing in adult life. But that first and foremost, we have materials that are inviting to them. And we do an assessment. And we do some assessments to try to figure out where they are, what they're where their deficits are. And to your point, you'd be surprised at how many adults still have critical gaps in their knowledge of the code, being able to hear a sound, see it represented. And then our code is complex. So it's not, the basics and the basic and high frequency words and those sort of things are easier for them to learn. When we want them to be able to figure out words on their own eventually and understand things like Greek and Latin roots and being able to figure out our language, that requires really intense work on the code. And that's our language is a code-based language.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be able to unlock that code. Comes easier for some. But everyone can benefit from good instruction.
How long does it take before they can start to feel that independence and spread their wings and read?
Yeah, it's amazing. We had a young gal that started with our drop-in hours, and so we did our materials with her, those assessments, and kind of figured out where she was. And it turns out she was afraid to go to the Augusta Tech program because she felt it was too advanced for her. What we found out through working with her, it really was more of a confidence issue, that she in fact did have some good reading skills and would be able to benefit that. So we liked that we were able to give her some little foundational lessons and show her that she was reading at a good level to be able to benefit from more formal instruction. We're relatively new, we're a year open, so we haven't yet have good longitudinal data on how long they stay with us. We just know that they're coming in really over the past semester, I think in university semesters, but since the January, our calls for adult literacy have gone way up. So we're starting to see more and we'll eventually have good data on how long they stay with us.
I mentioned at the beginning of this interview that some people might not know that y'all are at that beautiful new facility, the Hub. Hopefully July 22nd, they find out when you have this huge back to school event. What are y'all doing? Is it a chance to show up and get a bunch of freebies? How's it work?
Well, it's a variety of things, and it's the second annual back to school event. So we had one last July, and it was our first. We had opened in June. It was one of our first events, and we were thrilled with the success we had of last year. We had over 600 people attend, and we gave over 400 backpacks away to kids.
So y'all have backpacks loaded up that you just give to the kids?
We do, and this year we're grateful that AT&T is providing 450 backpacks, all stuffed with a lot of technology stuff too, and we're going to supplement that, and then we'll supplement for more because we anticipate even a bigger showing this year.
I would imagine you would get a huge showing. Is it first come, first first serve? It seems like you would run out super fast.
Well, we make sure that doesn't happen. So in addition to the 450 from AT&T, Rise Augusta and Augusta University Literacy Center, the two educational nonprofits at the hub, we purchase additional backpacks. And if we don't use them all at the back to school event, we give them to our students throughout the year. So we make sure there's enough. And so at the back to school event, there will be the culmination is you'll receive a backpack filled with supplies, but to sort of earn your backpack, they have a bookmark with different activities on it that are spread out through the center. And so they have to complete 4 literacy activities, and then they redeem that for their backpack. So we're able to work in literacy and fun activities for the family and some special guest speakers and storytellers. So they sort of involve themselves with the activities, and then the culmination is their backpack. And we provide free food and make it really a whole family event.
Well, I know you and your team are going to do an awesome job. I have just a moment left, but speaking of awesome jobs, you must just be filled with joy daily when you walk out of your office because of what you do, because of all those light bulb moments.
I came here from the state of Michigan after working there all my career to date. This opportunity to be the director of the Literacy Center came into my life, and I decided, how do I want to spend the rest of my career? And there really just couldn't be a better place than I am right now. The ability to see, make relationships, see growth in our clients, be a part of the hub and the partnerships at the hub, the synergy between the various nonprofits there, and it's more than I even hoped.
It's just beautiful. Dr. Betsy Van Dusen, thanks for what you do, and thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all show up July 22nd. That back to school event is going to be huge. When we come back, how you can help shape future editions of the Means Report. It is easy. We will show you in just a minute.